Welcome in. We're going to be starting here any minute. Hi, welcome in. My name is Paimon. Welcome to the Paimon Tuhi Report. Today we're talking about one of the guys from the Barakzai dynasty, Mr. Mohammad Zahir Shah. King Mohammad Zahir Shah. He's a great man. I believe that he did a lot of good things for Afghanistan while we had that. Remember in the last episode, we talked about that 40 years of peace we had during the whole since 1839 in Afghanistan until 2021. In that time frame, we only had about 40 years of a significant amount of time that we had a chance to develop. And let's talk about that time. Let's talk about that 40 years. On July 17th, 1973, King Mohammad Zahir Shah was in Rome and recovering from an eye surgery when he received news his own cousin and brother-in-law, Mohammad Daoud Khan, had seized power. This is after 40 years of being, in power, and he was doing a lot of things. But it ended while he was in a eye surgery in Rome, and his cousin and brother-in-law, Mohammad Daoud Khan, seized power in some kind of coup. Let's talk about his achievements, though. A neutral king in a hostile world. That's a good description of what he was like during his reign. Remember, he was king of Afghanistan from 1933 to 1973. That's 40 years. And in that time, obviously, there was World War One and Two. So Zahir Shah's major achievement was keeping Afghanistan out of global conflict during the World War II. Afghanistan became the Switzerland of Asia. People were livid. People were like, "Oh, let's go visit the Himalayas. Let's go hang out. Let's go chill. Let's go. The beautiful landscape, the greenery, the mountains. It was Switzerland of back in the day, called the Switzerland of Asia." During Mohammad Zahir Shah's reign, he was Afghanistan was that cool during the 40 years. Now, I know that these are good times that we're talking about. It was so basically he kept us out of the conflict in World War II, neutral, full of spies from both sides, and prospering from exports. Basically, Russians were there, British was there, spies, all kind of different people were there, but we were neutral, and we were just, economy was booming. People were exporting. I'd imagine, those Afghan coats and just art and dried fruits and what we're also known for our fruits and produce. We have some great, and still do, some great produce. Okay, the other one is the constitutional experiment. That he's known for the constitution of that time. In 1964, Zahir Shah introduced a new constitution that established a constitutional monarchy, a parliament with elected members, and gave women the right to vote and receive education. This was in 1964. He did this. These are some of the things that were part of that constitution. Freedom of speech. Gave women right to vote and to receive education. This was in 1964. This is one of the reasons I love this guy. I mean, man, you got to respect him. And at the end of this video, I want to tell you how I'm related to this whole situation. Okay, it's very exciting. Let's talk about this. Anyways, he remained neutral in World War II. You know, it was known as the Switzerland of Asia. Although there was, there's full of spies, and but we were prospering with exports. The next thing was he created the Constitution of 1964, where he, had parliament with elected members, gave women the right to vote and receive education, and it was genuinely progressive move for a deeply conservative country. Now let's talk about that. So they, of course, Afghanistan is a conservative people. It's they're very traditional, cultural, and maybe it was moving a little too fast for them. But that was very progressive, and rightly so. I believe he was ahead of his time. Mohammad Zahir Shah, King Mohammad Zahir Shah. You got to remember, this guy was smart and very respected. I'll show you a video of him. He lived up to be 93 years old. Yeah. Anyways, so the other achievement, these are 3 of his achievements. I'm sure there's many more, but these are some notable ones. Neutrality, the Constitution, and then the infrastructure and education. He's also known for building the infrastructure and the education systems. He founded Afghanistan's first modern university. Wow. Brought in foreign advisors and launched major development projects like the Helmand Valley Project, a cooperative irrigation venture with the United States. The Helmand Valley Project, a cooperative irrigation venture with the United States. So he was doing a lot of, projects which included other nations, and he was very political with it, and he was just open-minded and progressive. Like, he got along with everybody, literally, and he was just a great leader. He is an amazing leader. So, yes. So infrastructure and education. He founded Afghanistan's first modern university. That is just amazing, bro. I did not know that about him, and I'm sure there's a lot more we're going to learn about him here today. Just amazing overall, just from those 3 objectives. I agree, and I support all of those. Neutrality, the Constitution that he had, and the infrastructure and education that he was building. That's amazing. Okay, let's talk about women and Islam during his reign, during his administration. Zahir Shah supported modest but real reforms. Women no longer had to wear the veil under Prime Minister Dawood's reforms. So remember, he was the king, but he had Prime Minister Dawood Mohammad, which was his cousin, I believe. Women no longer had to wear the veil under Prime Minister Dawood's reforms. Women could vote and be educated under the 1964 Constitution. The abolition of parda, secluding women, theoretically increased the labor force by about half. So the abolition of parda, secluding women. He included women in the economy. He included everybody. And these are things that we need, and that's happened in the past. And this gives me a lot of hope, and it inspires me that and gives me some faith that, hey, maybe we can get back to this. This is the golden ages of Afghanistan, man. This is amazing stuff, that we don't have to be so strict with our women. Maybe we could go meet like a middle ground. We don't have to go all the way out, all the way. I don't even think this is just absurd stuff. I don't even think that this is like too crazy. Like, I mean, okay, yeah, we could keep the veil for them. I mean, but like not maybe not full on, burk it out, but like maybe hijab, whatever. maybe that's what's going to help out. I don't know. If it was up to me, I would let women choose, but obviously they would have to be very conservative and respect society, but that's another topic. Anyways, this is about Mohammad Zahir Shah and how great of a human being and what his achievements. So, under his rule, women could vote and be educated under the 1964 Constitution, and the abolition of the parda, secluding women, basically. Theoretically, increased the labor force by about half. Women were working, educating, they were booming. On Islam, Zahir Shah was a Sunni Muslim, but abhorred Islamic fundamentalism and tried to curb the power of the mullahs. Under his rule, Islamist groups like the Islamic Society, Jamiat-e-Islami, emerged in opposition to leftist and secular elements. But the king himself was a moderate who sought to balance tradition and modernization. Now, what do you guys think about that in the comments? Like, tell me, is that a balanced perspective? I mean, okay, so under his rule, Islamist groups like the Islamic Society emerged in opposition to leftist and secular elements. Basically, some of King Mohammad Zahir Shah's things like women no longer needing to wear the veil. Okay, I guess that might have pushed their buttons. So that was the opposition there, the Islamic Society. But the king himself was a moderate who sought to balance tradition and modernization. I myself think that's great. Middle ground, balance, that's great. That's how society should work. It shouldn't be, 100% one thing. That's not how the world works. If everything was 100% one thing, there would be no choices. There would just be cheese at the supermarket. You can only buy cheese at the supermarket. What? Anyways, what do you guys think about that? What about the balance of power there? Are you pro Islamic society, just like, complete like how the Taliban are now? And even then, they're more traditionalists and culturalists, and they kind of mix the three there, and Pashtunwali and Islam, and kind of interpret it how they want, but mainly Islamic, or something in the middle, which is King Zahir Shah's monarchy, constitutional monarchy, with elected members, gave women rights to vote, receive education, and generally progressive move for a deeply conservative country. So, what do you guys think? Shoot some comments in the comment section, and I will definitely have a healthy debate with you there. What do you think? Okay. So before we get into the superpower relations, playing both sides with the United States, the Soviets, the balancing act, and what he thinks about Pakistan, let's watch a little video of him, which is going to show us a little bit. This was on AP. This was before 2007. He passed away in 2007, so this was a little bit before that. And let's just listen to what he says. Make sure my audio is good.
One witnesses and one is a witness to the sufferings that the people of Kabul went through.
He's acknowledging the struggle that people of Afghanistan has gone through.
We hope that in a brief space of time we will be able to rebuild our country and give the standard needed for a modern life of the city.
So he's hoping for, to get back into the times that he was king, and how amazing that time was. That that's his dream. And he's saying, you know, people have gone through a lot of hard times. We need to give the standard needed back to Afghans.
One.
انتظاری که یک شخص مسئول از یک کابینه نام میخواهد که اشخاصی قابل و درست در این جمله اشخاصی باشند که کارفهم باشند ما از اینجا همه دیگه میخواهیم.
We, like everybody else, expect from the new Loijerga and from the new government that will come after to be experts in rebuilding the country and achieving progress for Afghanistan with international help as soon as possible.
I hope you guys got that. Basically, he said that we need to rebuild and we need help with from international countries to rebuild Afghanistan.
I believe that the presence of these peacekeeping soldiers are actually necessary. And I believe that the sentiments of our people will be based on practical, intelligent motivations. And you must know that here in this country, in Afghanistan, American citizens, American soldiers regarded with interest and with consideration.
He's basically saying that he thinks that the NATO intervention, the U.S. intervention, the soldiers being there in Afghanistan is, in a way, a good thing to help build and restore balance into Afghan society. You know, these are very progressive thoughts. These are very critical thinking points.
روزی ما با پایان می آورد طبیعیش که یک روزی حتما به کشور خود خواهد داشتن مگر ما همراه امریکایی رو به حیث یک دوست دیدیم و به حیث یک دوست خواهد دیدیم.
I repeat that we recognize the American nation as a friendly nation towards our country, and of course when the time comes the United States personnel will leave happily this country and will be greeted on their way by our population.
Okay, so that was it. You could see that he is just an amazing leader, talking about the Americans being there, that they're there for a good reason, and they're generally want to help. That's debatable, right? But he has a positive outlook on the U.S. being there in Afghanistan, and he's saying, and you know, we would please happily leave our country as well, and you know, that the United States is a friendly nation to Afghanistan. That is just profound and amazing to me. As a leader, that's how you talk. That's how you should be. He's like it's kind of challenging to say this, but I was going to say that he's like compared to Trump, he's like the Barack Obama of Afghanistan. Okay, man. Okay. He kind of looks like him. But anyways, that was a little clip of him talking and in his late years. Very profound guy, good looking guy. And you know, so I'll mention this now. So my family is actually related to him, to his family. My family is from the Tuki Pashtun tribe, and my mom's grandma is related to him. On on my grandpa's side, his wife is related to the Shah's family. Her grandma So it's and then so it's like, and then my grandpa was, you know, Abdul Razak Tuhi, and it basically related to family, So you heard, I'm somehow related to King Mohammad Zahir Shah, which is amazing. I've been wanting to do a series on all the Barakzai dynasty leaders, which we are, and then I wanted to start off with Mohammad Zahir Shah, King Mohammad Zahir Shah, which is an amazing person, I think. And come to find out, I'm related to him. Oh my God, we got the same blood running through our veins, and politically motivated, like just political a little bit, like I'm also, I look and his beliefs and his ideas are resonating with me, and I'm like, that's amazing, that's great, and I love it. That's so cool. That, anyways, let's talk about how he kept neutral during World War II, where the world was in chaos and we were the Switzerland of Asia. Let's talk about that. So, United States, Zahir Shah initially sought American support to counterbalance the Soviet Union. So he was working with Americans and to counterbalance the Soviet Union. The U.S. financed the Helmand Valley Project. We touched base on that. That was some kind of irrigation project, but turned down arms requests. Okay, so they turned down arms requests. When the U.S. stopped funding over policy differences, Zahir simply turned elsewhere. The Soviet Union now. Okay, so that's how he was balancing United States. The Soviet Union, after U.S. rejection of Afghanistan, turned to Moscow for arms and aid. Soviet Union became Afghanistan's major aid and trade partner. In lean years, Russia sent wheat in exchange for Afghan products like karakul, wool, and fruit. The Balancing Act. Zahir Shah maintained a careful neutrality, refusing to take sides in the Cold War. This was pragmatic policy for a small nation sandwiched between two superpowers. Okay, so somehow through his policies and through his trades and through his relationships, he was able to keep out of World War II and not choose sides, and basically kept Afghanistan safe. The people progressing, modernizing, building institutions, education, giving women rights to vote. We had a parliament that was elected. That's amazing. Okay, so let's talk about what he thought about Pakistan. He supported the concept of Pashtunistan, an independent or autonomous state for Pashtuns on both sides of the Durand Line, which created serious tension with Pakistan. Okay, I love this guy. This guy's cool. This issue would eventually lead to his cousin Dawood's downfall in 1963 and was a major factor in Afghan foreign policy. This issue would eventually lead to his cousin Dawood's downfall in 1963 and was a major factor in Afghan foreign policy. Remember, his cousin Dawood Khan was his prime minister, I believe. Why he fell. The end of an era. By 1973, Afghanistan was facing a 3-year drought and famine, 100,000 dead, economic crisis from Pakistan border closure, political polarization between leftists and Islamists, stagnation. He refused to sign key legislation that would have institutionalized democratic processes. His indecisiveness, which had kept peace for 40 years, now crippled his ability to reform. His cousin Dawood, sensing weakness, struck while the king was in Italy. His downfall. So, people get old. I don't even think he was that old in 1973. let's see. He died in 2007 and 1973. So he was born in 1914. Yeah, so he was 59 years old. He was getting up there, but that's not even that old, man, for a politician. Anyways, he had his, his reasons on why he didn't do. I'm not gonna try to act like I could figure everything out, especially with just a calculator. His indecisiveness, which had kept peace for 40 years, give him credit there, now crippled his ability to reform. His cousin Daoud, sensing weakness, struck while the king was in Italy. The last chapter, exile and return. Zahir Shah lived quietly in Rome for 29 years, playing golf, chess, tending his garden. After the Taliban's fall in 2001, the world saw him as a symbol of unity. He returned in 2002, was given the title Father of the Nation, and stood aside for Hamid Karzai. He died in 2007 at the age of 92. So he was and stood aside for Hamid Karzai. Hamid Karzai was a straight puppet. Whatever. But I guess Zahir Shah, father of the nation, stood aside for Hamid Karzai. Given that he was pretty old, man. So at that point, he was in his 80s. Obviously, the stress of political influences from the U.S., NATO, and all other countries. It just wasn't a good time for him to do anything. What can we learn from him, though? Let's talk about that. We'll close out with this too, unless I have anything else to share about him. Zahir Shah was a modernizer. Who believed in education, constitutional government, and women's rights. But his cautious nature, the same quality that kept Afghanistan neutral through war, prevented him from building the institutions that could have saved his monarchy. When the reforms came too late, Afghanistan's division proved too deep. For the Payman Tuhi report, his story illustrates in Afghanistan, tribal identity, great power rivalry, and the tension between tradition and modernity have shaped the nation's destiny, and sometimes the quietest men leave the loudest legacies. In Afghanistan, tribal identity, great power rivalry, and the tension between tradition and modernity have shaped the nation's destiny, and sometimes the quietest men leave the loudest legacies. My sources are The Guardian, Obituary, BBC News, Encyclopedia Britannica, Wikipedia, The Sunday Guardian, and 15 other web pages that reported on this. And these are just facts about what he was doing. It's nothing of opinion. These are all just facts about what he did during his reign. That is my alarm. So, I also wanted to just quickly, the 1964 Constitution, which in the United States, I wanted to say he guaranteeing human rights, freedom of speech, and the right to vote for women. That is huge. By the way, we still in Afghanistan right now in 2026, during the Taliban, the Islamic party, this Islamic societies governing administration, we still don't have a constitution. Maybe they're working on it, but we don't have a constitution. We don't have human rights. We don't have freedom of speech right now, and the right to vote for women or men. We don't even see the leader, Khanzada, what his name is. I don't know his name, but I've seen his name, Habibullah Khanzada, I believe his name is. I've never seen him in public or like just out and about or giving any kind of speeches, or it's always like he has sent a decree. He has sent some kind of paper for everyone to just follow now, because I don't see that working. I see that as very dictatorship wise. It's kind of, maybe it's been 5 years. We could give him some time. Give him a little bit of more time, but I believe the Afghan people deserve respect, honor, dignity, and if we look at some of our previous leaders, these leaders actually gave us that. You know, they respected Afghanistan. They respected Afghans. And I'm related to King Zahir Shah, so I would like to say that maybe, you know, as part of my political strategy, maybe we could start some kind of build Afghanistan political movement. With the help of the current administration, we could peacefully engage with them and find a middle ground to where we could guarantee human rights and freedom of speech and the right to vote, possibly, maybe an education, you know. We would like a constitution in Afghanistan that is modern, and we need to give rights to people, all people in Afghanistan. If you're male or female, doesn't matter. You get rights to education, man. You get rights to freedom of speech. You could dress conservative. You know, that's I don't think we're ever gonna get past that. Not dressing conservative in Afghanistan. I think that must have been why the last time it was kind of, you know, the opposition was so. I think that was what kind of brought the opposition together, is that, wow, they're taking away the hijab. And I you know, I it's okay, fine, it's fine, you know, keep the hijab, but anything else like human rights, freedom of speech, women and men and children, everyone, access and freedom of education. If you don't like the English-based curriculums and what they're teaching, and set up a new curriculum. It's very easy. If they need help, I will be able to help them. But you know, sciences, computer science, those are universal things. You know, math, universal. Those are things you can teach. Those are not only English. The Chinese, the Russians, the Persians, the Iranians, everyone studies that. That's not some English American propaganda or a way for them to indoctrinate or control or brainwash people. It's just universal education, universal ideas, to help build Afghanistan. Now, remember, we're trying to build Afghanistan. That's all. Anyways, that was our piece on King Mohammad Zahir Shah. He is a lineage of members of the dynasty of Barakzai, the Barakzai dynasty. His father was Nadir Shah, who was assassinated, sadly, in the early 1900s. And King Zahir Shah took over because of that. And before that, he had other family members who were in power. And so we're gonna get to that. We're gonna go and look at Dawood Khan, and we're gonna look at There's more people. We're gonna look at before him and after him. We're gonna look at the whole Barakzai dynasty, and yeah, and we're gonna advocate for building Afghanistan together without violence. Peace. Thank you for